to the Hip Hop Scholar Podcast. Family, let me be clear from the start. Today is monumental because when we talk about voices that shake the room, women who stand tall in their truth, and artists who turn their pain and joy into rebellion and into those anthems, there is only one name we can say with full conviction, and that is the Jai Jemini. She's a poet, an MC, a rebel, a Southern belle, but she is so much more than the labels that we try to place on her. She is a storm and a sanctuary at the same time. She is living proof that you don't have to shrink yourself to be accepted. You don't have to compromise your story to be heard, and you don't have to beg for a seat at the table when you came to build your own. When her track Blessings hit, the world felt it. Oh, that's right. It wasn't just a song, it was a movement. It was a mirror reminding us to honor the gift of life, the strength of our bodies, and the courage to love ourselves loudly. That moment was not by accident, it was destiny, because Jai Jemini has always been bigger than the beat. She's a reminder that words heal, affirmations restore, and hip-hop is still the voice of the people when it's in the right hands. What makes Jai Jemini powerful is that she doesn't just perform, she transforms the room. She takes her lived experience, her Southern roots, her rebel energy, and pours it into verses that hit like scripture and celebration all at once. She carries the duality of a woman who can stand in her softness and her strength, in her pain and her power, in her vulnerability and her victory. This is a young lady, a woman who knows the stakes, who knows the eyes are on her, and who refuses to water herself down. She brings presence, she brings power, and she brings proof that the mic will always bend and belong to those bold enough to speak their truth. So tonight, this isn't just any conversation, it's a coronation. This is about giving her her flowers while the world is still catching up. Because make no mistake, Jai Jemini is not just any artist, she is a force of nature. And when she steps in, you absolutely feel it. It is my deepest honor, my greatest privilege, and my absolute joy to welcome to the Hip Hop Scholar Podcast, the rebel, the Southern belle, the truth teller, the force, Jai Jemini. Yes.
What a powerful intro. Thank you so much.
Oh, you are welcome, my dear. We give flowers here at the Hip Hop Scholar Podcast, especially an artist at your caliber, my dear. I am thrilled to get into this conversation. How are you doing this evening?
Likewise. I'm doing really, really good. I've been looking forward to sitting down and chatting with you.
Awesome. And I know you have been on several different platforms. You just were hosted on a radio show. I got to see your Genius video on YouTube where you got to unpack the video Blessings. So you are a very busy artist. And so thank you again for taking the time to talk with us on the Hip Hop Scholar Podcast. So let's start from the very beginning. My first question that I have to ask you, as I ask all my artists, when did you fall in love with hip hop? What was that for you? It's when growing up that you got into wanting to be into that limelight of hip hop.
Yeah. I think I always had an interesting relationship with hip hop growing up because, and everyone, who knows me knows I was raised very strictly Christian. So in my younger formative years, I couldn't really listen to a lot of hip hop. So when I did get introduced to it, it was kind of like this, sneaking thing. I was listening to this music that I had never heard before, but there were so many stories in it. I remember the first time I heard J. Cole, who is like a rapper from North Carolina, obviously. I felt really connected to him, knowing that somebody that was from the same place as I was able to make a name for themselves. And then Nicki Minaj, she ran female hip hop for decades, it felt like. So getting to watch her journey in real time as well, it was just very inspiring. And it always let me know that there was something more under the surface than what mainstream tried to present hip hop as. So as I've gotten older, I've been able to dive deeper into these stories and be able to share my own variation of these stories.
And these are two formidable artists that have their own style, like J. Cole. You know, shout out to J. Cole. He is a lyricist and really brings nod to that traditional type of hip hop with the melody, with the rhyme play, and, you know, definitely keeping true to those roots. And then you have the Nicki Minaj, who came in and made her own lane with fashion, with her unbeatable rhythm to the beat of anything, and her personalities. Like, she came in like a storm even, and truly changed the game. And, you know, giving much flowers to Nicki Minaj and all the female MCs, you know, being a woman in hip hop, you know, music altogether. You know, what are those things that you see as a woman that is navigating hip hop? Like, you're not that traditional, well, I won't say traditional, but you're not that rapper that's very melodic. Like, you come in with a force. You come in repping and rapping like a gangster. Like, indeed, like, you don't look like the way that you rap. And I remember seeing that on your platform, where you have a very sweet, humble persona, but when you rap, like, it is killer. So, like, how do you navigate those places with that? Like, do people underestimate you a lot? Does that ever happen?
Absolutely. I remember the first year that I started recording professionally. So it was 2019. I went into the studio to record a song called Retrograde, which is one of my more lesser known songs. But I went in to record it. I had this huge cardigan on. I just like cardigans. I had this huge fluffy cardigan on, and like I had my hair in a bun, and I had these like big glasses on. And I remember I went in the studio, and I could tell that the engineers and the other people in the studio were like, what is she gonna do in there? And then when I told them the name of the song was Retrograde, because you have to give them the name before they start recording, they're just all like kind of looking around. I could tell they had prejudged. By the time I had did that first take, because I typically could do, you know, one or two takes and be done in the studio. By the time I did that first take, everybody in the room was taken aback. Like, they were like, I did not expect that. And I get that all the time when I go to the studio. But I love it. It's it feels good, you know, when people don't think that, you know, just because of the way that I look, that there's power there. But like, that's the reason why I choose hip hop as a genre. It's a powerful genre. You know, I can sing, so I could do R&B or, you know, some other forms of music. But when I'm in that rapping bag, like, I'm there for a reason, and it's because I have something to say. And I think that comes out in the booth.
Oh yeah, it definitely rings true with your music, and that power that you evoke. I can definitely appreciate that, being probably the only woman in the booth, right? And then coming in with such hard lyrics. I mean, that song Blessings became such a hit widely online, right? And streaming, and then you have your video on YouTube and all those different things. Like, what do you think it was about that song that connected so deeply with people? And how did that movie change your journey? Even though you've been rapping professionally since 2019, when Blessings hit and got viral. And I also saw today that Cardi B even put a like to that song as well. So, like, how did that moment change your journey, and boost your confidence as well?
It changed everything, because when I wrote Blessings, I knew it was a good song because I put a lot into my music, so I never try to put out a bad song, but I didn't think it would be the one. You know, I had moments where I would go and I would record a song. I'm like, this is the one. And most of the time I felt that way because I felt like it was what other people might want to hear. So I just put that assumption on my audience of like, oh, people want to hear stuff like this. So when I do something that's a little more personal, or it's like a song for me, because Blessings was a song for me. I didn't expect that outcome. And ironically, I recorded Blessings in 2023. I didn't release it till 2024. And then I posted the first video ever promoting Blessings was in 2025. And the fact that the first video I posted of it went viral, it was like, oh, there's something here that I didn't expect at all. But it definitely boosted my confidence for sure.
Absolutely. And so in the research that I did, you recorded it. You were working in Miami at the time. You were working and living in Miami, and you just had this experience of, you know, going from being a Southern belle into this very visual type of a situation in Miami. Miami's very different. Shout out to Miami. But you are definitely working on your identity there. And so creating this anthem for yourself, I think that's what connects us so much to it, is that it's the grit of, stop playing. Like, I'm the bitch, stop playing for real. And it's like, absolutely, I am. That's right. And it reminds us that you can be in your soft era, but you can also come in hitting hard as well. And so in that moment, though, I think that story that I heard you share, that was on the Genius video, of it just coming so naturally, this anthem from your lived experience at the time, that's what made it resonate so much. And so even being, you have coined the phrase, the rebel Southern belle. So how do your lived experiences thus far, you have a long way to go, my dear. How do they influence your music as being that rebel Southern belle? How does that influence your whole music take?
Yeah, I think it's the core of who I am. When I thought of the tagline, the Rebel Southern Belle, it just came so naturally because I feel like I'm this dichotomy in so many areas of my life. It's not just rapping where people like see one thing and expect another thing. It's like in every facet of my life. I remember when I was in college, I went to college on a scholarship, and when people found out that I was an honor student, they would be like, "Oh, I didn't think you were smart," because they just assumed I wasn't smart for whatever reason. So I've always had these like different moments where people expected me to be something other than what I was. And the real deep core of that was being raised as this meek church girl, who had to learn to navigate the world from a very sheltered place. And in learning how to navigate the world and to like stand up for myself and cultivate my own identity, it positioned me as rebellious to the things that I grew up as, when really it's just who I am. This is just me. But it does come across as rebellious to the experiences that I think were outlined for me growing up. It definitely wasn't the path that a lot of people expected me to take.
Which, I think of the word rebellious in such a connotation that doesn't give positivity. And I feel so strongly that everything you do, you are a rapper, a lyricist, a singer. You also promote on TikTok when it comes to, image. And I mean, you speak so highly and influence so many people on such an inspirational level that it's such, it's a change to think that you feel that what you're doing is rebellious when in all girl, like you're amazing, and you make us feel amazing with your music. So that must come from a place, like you said, where you had to hide, you had to be hidden, and then now you're kind of coming out of this shell, and you are showcasing that to the world and even to yourself. Like, not even just being rebellious, just being exactly who you are and who you are becoming, and continue to be that supernova. Like, I encourage you so much so, Jai Jemini, to be that light and shine, and just tell people, get your sunglasses, because you're going to shine bright.
Hello.
Clock it. I'm serious. Yeah. I mean, you bring such amazingness. So to just dig some more into your brain, I want to talk about your creative process, right? Whether you are writing for a rap or singing or anything. So talk to us. What has to happen for Jai Jemini to create a song? Are you listening to a beat first? Are you a writer? Is it a mood? Is it a color? Or like, what puts you in the mood to create?
Most of the time it's very organic. Like, I have found when I try to sit down and write something, sometimes I'll do it just to like sharpen my skills. I'll like play some beats and then I'll try to write something just, as practice. But that true, like, pure creativity, it comes from maybe a moment of heartbreak, maybe a moment of like feeling overjoyed, like, but it comes from pure emotion. And so a lot of times I will write first and then find the beat, or I'll like think about a beat that I heard a while back and then I'll kind of get inspired by that. But I have so many voice notes in my phone where I'll just be in my kitchen and I'll just like press record on my voice notes and like just let whatever I'm feeling just come out, and polish it up later. I don't try to make it perfect in the moment because you can always go back and revise and edit. But I just try to create organically because it's healing for me. Like I feel like I wouldn't be who I am, and as strong mentally if I didn't allow myself to use music and other artistic forms to like release some of the things that like I've been through and different emotions, because a lot of times, especially as Black women, I feel like we just bottle stuff up inside because we have to be strong for the world. We have to like always be the ones with the answers. And being able to be in that creative space, you can really just let it all out. Like, no matter what the feeling is or what the emotion is, you can just let it all out. And so that's normally how I create.
Okay, and I think I saw at one point, like, you do diaries, you journal a lot, like you're a writer as it is. Like you definitely put your emotions to the pen, be able to share that out. I remember reading about, your father passing away. And having to navigate that, and that's a journey. I know having to navigate that, but
Yeah.
I can say so certainly, like he is looking down from heaven at his baby girl, just as proud as can be, because you are an amazing young person, being unabashedly yourself and having that confidence, right? I just, I stress to this to you, my son, and even with his friends, to have a group of friends around you that can celebrate you, exactly who you are and who you truly are
Absolutely.
becoming. And it's hard to navigate that at times, especially, the superstardom that you are building and creating for yourself. And being that independent artist as well, like you are wanting to create your own lane, to stay on that path and really not change, right? You're not trying to change for anyone. You are truly, you give yourself to your audience by showcasing self-care, by relaying funny things and funny tracks and such on TikTok. That speaks volumes of your leadership. So in that leadership space of being who you are, like how do you talk yourself up in that video Blessings? I know you do you get up early and you do the affirmations, you do the ice water. Like, is that true to your routine every morning?
No, not every morning. I would be lying if I said I woke up early every morning and was just like always super put together. It was more of like my ideal morning, when things are all going to plan and I'm very centered, because Blessings just puts me in that mindset, when I play it in the morning. But I will say honestly, it's a journey, and sometimes it's easy to look in the mirror and boost yourself up and say, like, I'm that girl, like, what it is. But sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you have to say that through tears. And there have been plenty of times where I've had to like affirm myself, in moments where I'm looking in the reflection and I'm telling myself I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, and I don't necessarily believe it yet. But I get my confidence really, and I thank my family for giving me such a strong foundation in church, even if I don't subscribe to everything. But I get a lot of confidence from God, knowing that, like, I really do believe that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I might not always feel like the most put together or like the smartest in the room or the baddest in the room or whatever, but I truly believe that. Like, I truly believe I'm a reflection of like what God wants me to be. And so whenever all of the noise comes in, I can always go back into that, and know that that's a starting point, and that's a pretty strong starting point.
Yes, it is. Oh, yes. A lot of great artists started in the church. Like that was their first introduction to music altogether, was gospel music, right? In the church, especially in the South. I was
Yeah.
born and raised in the South as well, and going to church every Sunday,
Yeah.
midweek service, even Saturdays, even, became part of that routine, begrudgingly at times, yet it did help to create this force that's this Holy Spirit, even
Yeah.
to pick yourself up and to continue on and to focus on the greatness that God has created you for. And I encourage you, like I am claiming that with you, Jay, that you are something amazing and you were made specially for something dynamic that you haven't seen yet. So you continue to work and you continue to invest exactly what you're doing because you're a hardworking person. I mean, you are everywhere. You are doing everything. And, all of that hard work will definitely come to pass. To whom much is given, much is required. And that is a scripture. I can't name the exact chapter or verse of it, but that definitely rings true to you, my dear Jai Jemini.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you speaking that life into me.
Of course, because you speaking life to us. I'm telling you, every time you can see the reposts or you're on the FYP page and you have men and women, everybody blessings. And it's like, seriously, like it's such a great song and you have other music too, right? I don't want to, you're more than just the one song. You have several different songs that are out there and just all this talent. You're such a talented young lady. Like I wonder, where will you land, right? From here to there, what movie role are they going to give you? What TV show that we're going to subscribe to? I see you doing so many different things. And so with all the positives, there are some negatives, I'm sure. And so we always can see the wins on social media, but has there been a moment where you did face a setback? And if so, you don't have to, relate specifically what happened, but how did you bounce back from that? Because what we see, and like I've shared, we see this light that is Jai Jemini. So how do you handle rejections and how do you bounce back from those when they do occur?
Yeah, there have definitely been setbacks. I think I started to become more confident in the journey when I accepted that there was going to be so many setbacks. Because if you get discouraged from the setbacks, you won't really last long in really anything, but specifically with music and content creation and all of that, because it's constantly going to be something. Growing up, I had a very difficult childhood, so I think that I just naturally became accustomed to having to pivot, having to, continuously get up and try again. But in those moments, I think of it, and might be kind of corny, but I always think of that future moment where I'm talking about whatever is going on right now. I'm looking back and I'm laughing at it and I'm wasn't that so crazy, on the Breakfast Club or whatever. But that, really helps me to keep going. And that's an affirmation in and of itself. It's acknowledging I'm going through this right now, but I know that this is just a stepping stone and a part of the story that's necessary to get to that next level, So I think most artists should adopt that mindset. Otherwise, it'll be a rocky road.
Mm-hmm. That's what you call faith of things that are unseen. You're already in the future, looking at and laughing at what's already happened. That is the epitome of faith. So, and that really sounds like Jai Jemini, because we want you to win. We are here to make certain that you are winning, because you are a winner and you make us all feel like a winner, and just continue to do just that with, using, your difficulties in childhood, whatever challenges that you faced at that time, mental health and self-care. And there's beauty standards that are there. They've changed over time. But as I share with young people, peer pressure, back in my day, peer pressure were the people on your bus, people in your neighborhood, at your school. But peer pressure these days is everyone in the world, everyone that's on your social media page. So, how do you protect your identity? How can someone protect their identity with this gaze that comes from social media? What is something you could share, not just with young people, because there's people my age that are worried about what's going on social media, but what words of affirmation can you share to help us hold on our identity instead of being, thrown into the FYP standards of beauty and living and such?
Yeah. I think something that's really helped me is leaning into being different and being okay with being different. That's another part of where the rebellious Southern Belle comes from, because it's not always just, in the realm of like church, but even in the realm of what people expect from female rappers or what they expect, the music to sound like. I feel like just recently we're starting to get this wave of like affirmative, uplifting music from female rappers that's more prominent, because it's always been there. It just hasn't always been at the forefront. But leaning into being different and recognizing that like these people on the internet, you're never going to see them. What does their approval really mean? And I think when I really started to meditate with that, like, what are these people going to do for me? Like people that are saying negative things, people that are trying to box me in, like they don't mean anything to the greater journey. And 9 times out of 10, there's always more positivity than negativity. And it's like, if you're going to feed into the negativity, you're inviting more negativity to you. So I always try to like, if I'm going to respond to something negative, I'm going to respond to 10 positive things. I think Kev on stage was the one who had initially said that. And by the time you respond to those 10 positive things, you realize like, it's not even worth responding to the negative. But nobody wants a clone. Nobody wants to be a clone. Like, no shade to, the standards of beauty that are like happening right now, but a lot of them are very like monodimensional where like a lot of people on Instagram look the same, and what fun is that? Like that doesn't make you stand out. Like, and I don't want to be in nobody's shadow. Like I don't want to be the next anybody. I want to be the first me. And so I think that kind of helps me to reclaim my identity and not get lost in the sauce.
I know that's right. The first you, the one and only, often imitated, never duplicated type. I get that.
Hello.
And for real. And that's so important to remember and remind ourselves that, there are a few negative things that will be there. Not if, but will. But there's more positive. And there's things that we can control. And as I shared with one of my other podcast interviewees, I was telling them, haters come in when you're doing something right. They come in because of that jealousy. They come in because, man, I could have been doing that, or, that could have been me, or that idea. And so understanding that part where people have this jealousy and it just becomes this ugly negative thing. And so they project. And that's where those commenters come in and post those negative things. But that means you're doing something right. So, yes, shout out to Kev on stage. He always really gives some good gems while being hilarious at the same time. And that's what we have to do to navigate.
For sure.
Yeah, he is. To navigate this landscape of social media. So, and also with social media, this is also a positive light because you're able to connect with so many people, around the nation, around the world, in your hometown, your home state and such. Is there something that a fan that told you? Is there something a fan has ever told you that completely changed how you saw yourself?
Oh, I'm not going to lie. There's been a few moments, but the one that stood out, the very, very first one, I'm trying to remember how early on it was. It may have been in May. So I remember this was maybe the day before Chloe Bailey had posted the song. So at this point, I'm seeing traction like with the numbers. But I don't think once Chloe Bailey posted it, it really like set in like, oh, okay, this song is really doing something right now. But before that, I was going back and forth because, with the song gaining traction, all of these people who have been a part of my life, from a younger age are being exposed to my music. And I didn't post my music for a long time because I'm like, there's people that went to my church on my Facebook or, I just didn't know how it would be received from people in my personal life. So I get on TikTok and I see this woman who is talking about how she came across my song and the line about don't know how I made it out my mama house, don't know how I made it off my granny couch. She talked about how that really like touched her. And in the video, she started crying and talked about how like she had never felt such emotion from a rap song. And it just made her know that like she's doing okay and she's going to be okay. Her emotional reaction to the song, it solidified something in me because I knew that it was powerful. I knew it was meaningful, but I would get so caught up in like how it would be perceived to other people who, why are you doing all that cussing? Why you couldn't make gospel music? Why you couldn't da 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 da? I knew it was powerful, but seeing that moment, it let me know you're doing the right thing. Like, stay focused. Everybody don't have to understand, but people feel it, and that's all that really matters to me. But that changed everything.
And that lyric there too, yeah. I don't know how I made it out my mama house, got off my granny couch, but anyway, like that one there, yes. That lyric, that whole track,
Yeah.
but that lyric there was like, man, I used to be on my granny couch out in Hollywood Heights and Shreveport.
Seriously.
Like indeed, and I love that the fans and you respond to them, you take it in, right? And that's such an important journey
Yeah.
as an artist to not just dismiss it like, okay, thanks so much, and then move forward to the next one like it's expected, but to truly in that empath feeling. And then also, I don't want to pry too much, but that sacredness of, let me hide myself because, I have people on my Facebook, I have people that know me, but, as we know of scripture from the Bible as a Christian, when God uses everybody in every instance to
Absolutely.
showcase his glory. And the task that is in front of you, Jai Jemini, is to do it in a way that's never been done before. Like, you are not a repeat of any artist that I've seen, because you have all of these talents that should not be hidden. Like you definitely take the time to delegate the most important things, and then you still raise yourself as a young lady, right? You still promote yourself as a young lady, where you could be out there, you got a body, but like seriously, you got a body, but you don't have to do a lot of all of what you could do to promote yourself.
Yeah.
There's so many other things that you could do that everybody else is doing, but it's like, no, Jai Jemini is that young lady, like I said before, that daughter that I wish I had, that is loving of herself, that shares of herself, that is open to hear what others have to say and showcase this music, and then can sing, and then can act, and then just this bubbling personality where all you have is wins ahead of you. And it's just so human of you to say, and you're welcome, my dear. Like, again, I'm a fan as well. And it's so human to hear that, you do have those challenges, you do have those misconceptions, and you're still on this journey, right? You are growing into this woman that is, that's challenging a lot of the ideals and principles that were given to you as a youth, which we're thankful for. Yet you're also using that to create your own path, this path unseen, where that faith comes in. So, keeping on that mantra of still blessing others, still honoring God, just doing it in your way, the way that you need to do it, and doing that unapologetically. Like, why apologize for being who you are, and you don't have to at all. Never do that.
Yeah. And I want to say something too, right quick, because you said something that stood out to me about, using your body to promote, like, whatever it is that you got going on. I want to say that I'm so happy that I got to make my mistakes, I'll say, in private. You know what I mean? Because I went through that phase as well of feeling like, okay, I have to be overly suggestive in order to get like people's attention and things like that. But the reason that I try to stray from that now is because I realize how, as much as people want to deny it, like, music is so influential. These personas that we see of these different celebrities and like artists, it is influential. As much as everyone wants to say, I don't want to be nobody's role model, like, you are somebody's role model. And I just want to show the girls another way. Like, I'm not down in nobody's experience. I'm not down in anybody else's strategy. But I think it's important for young women to see that there is an alternative. Like, you don't have to do it that way. You can if you want to. You have autonomy over your body. But you can choose a different route if you want to. So that's why that's important to me.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it's shown as well. That's exactly what I see. Is that you got them, you use them. Yeah, if it's time to show them
Yeah.
off, you show it off when it's time to do so. But you don't have to do that every
Yeah.
single iota time that the camera's on or anything. That's what I'm saying. And that's what showcases that
Exactly.
is that
Yeah.
embracing oneself. You allow for us to love ourselves and be ourselves unabashedly and unapologetically, no matter what our bodies look like, we can love ourselves and be proud
Yeah.
of the way that we are. And, you show them and then you don't. Like that video, you
Yeah.
had on a cardigan, you had on some real cute glasses, you have the big curly hair, and you got the voice that rips through the atmosphere. Girl, that's
Yeah.
again, that's what makes you stand out is that you don't you're just this. I can't even say how many threats. They say triple threat. You're like 925 different threats out there. And you know it and you show it and you continue to do that because that's what us as an audience and your fans see is that you truly go into those aspects of, I have a talent here, I have a talent here. You know what? Let me try this over here as well. And it's flawless. It's a flawless effort. And I know it takes a lot of time to do that. How are you balancing the work-life balance? Like, what do you actively have to make certain to be able to balance it all?
I'm gonna be honest, like being independent, that is a challenge because so much of my like life is work, especially when it's like I really love music. So it's not just work, it's something I enjoy. So that like makes the waters muddy as well. In this phase right now, I've really been trying to honor the time that I need to rest without feeling guilty. Because that's really the main thing. A lot of these, I've had conversations with different like label executives, and something they constantly say is, when that time comes and you really do pop, like you're gonna have to go, 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 go. And I don't always necessarily subscribe to that. Like I've always been the type of person where I want to live my life on my terms. Like I want to share my art with the world, but I don't want to sacrifice myself to the point where I'm no good to nobody because mentally, I'm scattered all over the place. And that's why I'm still independent right now because I know I need to like be the one in control of that balance. But whenever things get too hectic, I always go back to journaling. I'll fast if I need to. I've always been a strong advocate of fasting because it just helps me kind of clear my mind. So whenever I need to go back in the cave, I'll go in the cave, and my team and my friends know like, oh, she's not texting back for the next couple of days. I still love you, but I just got to take some time for me right now.
That's where that Gemini comes in, that dual role, that alter ego where, I'm on the stage, I'm ready for it all, and then going back into that back cave to rest. And I can't stress that enough to young people and even, seasoned people, intentional rest, taking that rest and not jumping at everything that's thrown at you. These label executives, it's great. And I know, the money's great and all those great things. But you're making an impact now. You're making such a strong impact right now. And if I'm not a person that knows about the music industry like that, but I feel very strongly, Jay, that as you continue on and you bless others with your gift of sharing and speaking and acting and singing and all the great things that you do, that it will come to pass. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And when it does, still being true to you, still being able to make your own schedule, and being able to maneuver and selecting of artists. In the radio show, you were saying that, J. Cole is like your number one collaboration that you will have in the future when it comes about, because you all are from the same place. You all have the same mantra of being, having that identity and holding true to that identity. And that's one of J. Cole's staple as well, is staying true to himself and bowing out when, I'm not feeling it, so I'm not going to jump into it. Remember with that Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef, he was like, you know what, I'm out of it. And as much as people tried to say, like, oh man, J. Cole, you this, you that, he was on a beach somewhere writing music, enjoying him, doing
extremely admirable. That was so admirable.
Right? To just walk away from all the noise and just being able to intentionally rest. And that is key. And that's something I'm so glad to hear from a young person say, and that should also be promoted, is taking that time to rest and being intentional in what you do and how you do it. So thank you for sharing that piece, Jay. Oh yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. I mean, you're teaching. You are and you teach. And your educator is a lot. What can you do? Now, I got a couple of more
oil
questions.
Changes.
Oh, girl, you and me both. Like, get my husband or take him up here to the Jiffy Lube, whatever. But when it comes to what you do well and what you can, and I'm certain if somebody taught you, and if you wanted to learn how to change your oil, you'd have your own shop as well if you wanted to. I'm just
that part.
Clock it for real. So you got me gushing over here. Oh, Miss Jane. So, my dear, I want to ask you to, with your music, right? With your music, as you're continuing to make great music, make amazing, reaffirming music, tell us exactly what you want us to take away. When someone hears a Jai Jemini album 30, 50, 100 years from now, what is something that you want for them to feel and to take away from it?
I want them to feel like they're not alone. Like, I feel like the authenticity is what keeps me going. When I think of artists like that who have that type of impact, I think about like Frank Ocean, for example, who has just abandoned us and will never give us no more music. He's just out there in Japan playing in them golf carts or whatever he's doing. But when I listened to his music, when I was 13, 14, and we lived two totally different lives, two totally different experiences, but his music just connects in a way where it's like, wow, like I can relate to that. I can see myself in that. And so I want people to just see themselves, in my music and be able to learn from it, like learn about themselves and discover themselves and just feel like they're not alone. Because sometimes the world can really make you feel like you're going through something alone, but we all a lot more similar than we like to believe.
That's right. We're all connected some kind of a way. And, and that's, again, the beauty of what I see on social media with your song is everybody, no matter where they're from, nationality, race, gender, none of that matters. Everybody is quoting your music, and it just speaks volumes to your creativity and to you being able to share your light with us. Thank you so much for sharing your gift with us, Jai Jemini, with the world, and again continuing to do so in your own right as you are comfortable with sharing. So now I know J. Cole is one of your future collaborations. Are there any other artists, whether in hip hop or other genres, that you're looking forward to working with as well?
Yes, I have so many artists that I love. Doechii being one of them. I don't think I've shouted her out yet, but I am a huge fan of Doechii, especially her most recent project. I also really love Beyonce. I know I've said her name before, but I love me some Beyonce. And then I think outside of that, I just want to collaborate in general with more female artists because I don't think we see enough unity in female hip hop. And there's so many different female artists that are amazing and they just don't get the shine that I think that they deserve. Rico Nasty, I think, is very underrated. Cash Doll, I think, is very underrated. Flippa T is up and coming like me, and so I would love to collaborate with her. There's just so many. Mona Leo is a great lyricist, so I would love to do some type of cypher songs with a whole bunch of the girls and just get in there and have fun.
Oh yeah, that's so awesome. Yeah, shout out to all of those film MCs, the understated, that are still amazing, like Rico Nasty. Oh man, I enjoy listening. Key Lime OG is one of my favorites with hers, and then there's another song,
Yes,
Smack B, that one too. I think I was at
that's my
work,
jam.
like wait a minute. It got in the back of my mind. I'm up here trying to teach. Like, ooh. But yeah. And that's refreshing to hear too, that you know your focus is to give this uprise to female collaborations, you know, especially in a way that we saw in the old school, you know, like back in the day they had it with Missy Elliott, Left Eye. They had all of the different rap artists at the time in a song. And then I think more recently you saw like Cardi B, Glorilla, and Megan Thee Stallion. They were going on tour at times doing different things. And, you know, that's a beautiful thing to witness. It's a wonderful thing to see. But I also want to be able to see it in a more organic way, right? I think the industry placed that together. And that actually encouraged Glorilla to start working out and show her twerking skills and such. And so, you know, and she, you know, shout out to Glow. I mean, and you know, I love her music and who she is too. And she from the South like we are. But I also like to hear about the organic way of saying, you know, let's do a cipher, you know, let's and even artists like Beyonce, who is the pinnacle of being an artist, you know, she's still very humble when it comes to putting, like, she's one of the hardest working people ever. I've heard NFL football players that you know, change their regimen of working out based off of how Beyonce puts together a show. Because she takes that extra time and that extra effort and is very meticulous to the details of everything. And I think it's necessary. I think that also speaks true to keeping that identity intact and not being swayed in any direction. So I look forward to it. I look forward to that collaboration that you put together and all the great things that you got coming your way, my dear. There's so many different things that I know. Girl, you are already amazing. You're already a superstar, right? And here on the Hip Hop Scholar podcast, like, you know, the world is just catching up, right? With all the great things that you're doing and all the great things that you choose to do, and even the things that you decide, you know what, I don't want to do that right now. And that's okay. That is absolutely okay. And you let us know that of yourself in your brilliance and in your stance. Now,
I appreciate you so much.
Oh, I appreciate you. When I tell you I am geeked out, I'm like, I know I'm probably very right now, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh my God. Oh my goodness. Seriously, like you are that girl. You are her. And everything that you do is like, for example, like, I don't want you to think I'm stalking. Like, I actually conduct my research and I see what you're doing. But you were promoting this curly wig on TikTok. And for the life of me, I thought that was your hair. And you was like, yep, this is me. And I was like, wait a minute. I might have to buy that. But I ain't going to go over these locks or anything. But you just have this personality, this glowing personality that is so pure and innocent, even though you come in like you about to rob the place when you rap. Like, your rapping, you sound like when NWA first came out. Like, you sound like you about to rob the place, hands up in the air. You got a machete in your hands. Like, that's how you rap. But you have the sweetest. It is Jai Jemini. Like right now, you all smile and you're gushing and everything. But as soon as you stop playing, and you coming with it,
like, it can get like that.
For real. And I adore that so much, where you can be all that you are and then be this surprise to the audience. And I think that's what resonates so much, is that people have this potential to be great and don't take the time to tap in because they look at everybody else, you know, they go by what people tell them to do, but not realizing that that gift within that you think makes you weird or makes you different, that's actually a great thing. That's what sets you apart. Absolutely. That's what's going to make the world go round. That's why God made you that different. And you know, that's again what you inspire us to just hone in on, is those contrasts to the mainstream, and have fun with it. Like you just seem like you're so much fun. And I'm gonna say this too. I told my son, like, look, I can hook you up, but you're gonna have to get this degree first. This a young lady, you gotta come with it, son. Like, seriously. He was like, all right, ma, all right.
Yeah.
But you know, in all honesty, seriously, like, you are a gem. And girl, like, maybe one day you and my son, hope, you know, maybe if whoever you get with, whoever you decide to be with, will be the luckiest person in the world, because you just come off as this person. And now learning more of you, you know, there you are, you have depth. You have such presence of yourself. You're very smart. And so when we think about, there was a question that I wanted to ask you about, just dealing with the whole career strategy. Like, you know, you're just so methodical. I remember like one of your first videos on YouTube, you were in your college dorm. And this was the start. I think you had the space buns and you were talking about putting things together, so on and so forth. And to see you from then to who you are now, you know, how have you prepared, or how are you preparing for when it happens, for when, you know, that call, or when you get that contract, or when you get that call to go on tour, or, you know what, this is your tour and you have these artists coming with you. How are you preparing for that? Like, how are you getting ready for when all those things do come to pass?
Living like it's already happened. You know, that has been the biggest thing that I think has separated me in this, like, kind of come up, is I really have been moving and believing as if it's already happened. You know, in the most humblest way possible, I feel like I'm already famous. I'm already got the connections. The people are already, like, in place. I genuinely believe that there are things happening every day behind the scenes that are, like, working out in my favor. I just don't know it yet, you know? And so that's just how I move. And I feel like that attracts that. But it's so funny that you were talking about that video from college, because I think the saying, it takes 10 years for overnight success, is extremely true. And people think now, like, I have friends that are also into music, family that are into music, who ask me, like, oh, how can I make this happen? How can I make that happen? And I'm like, I didn't make any money from music for 6 years. So there is no overnight thing. Like, just because people are catching on now, like, there have been things happening this whole time. I was so excited to go to college. I didn't end up being able to finish because I had some issues with my scholarship, because they had to, you know, do some things. No shade to the school, but I wasn't able to finish. And when that happened, it really, like, threw me off, because I never knew what I could be outside of, like, okay, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to try to be a homecoming court, and then I might, you know, be a therapist or something. Like, I didn't really know. And so it was a blessing in disguise, because at my core, I knew I always wanted to do music, but that's not something, you know, I couldn't tell my mom, like, hey, mom, like, I'm about to be a rapper. Like, she'd be like, girl, what are you talking about? Like, go enroll for the classes and stop playing, get out my face. Like, so it gave me that opportunity to be able to hone into what I wanted. But I just say that to say that the journey is not always perfect. And, like, I think everybody can relate to something going a different direction than what they thought. And sometimes it's not failure, it's not rejection, it's just redirection. And so I try to live in that and know that any door that closes is not a door that I was meant to go in anyway. Or maybe I'm supposed to come back later and go into it.
No, that's right. It's not a setback, it's a set up for something great in the end.
Hello.
Seriously, and even so,
Yep.
like one example, clock it. One example of an artist, Lil Wayne. I went to college. The first college I went to several different colleges, having to maneuver through to get my degrees. But the first college I attended was Xavier
Yeah.
University of New Orleans, and a lot of his classmates went to the campus, and they said, he was always smart. It was a magnet school, but he was doing music. He was with Cash Money, and he was back and forth, so he didn't have time to actually go to school because he was doing so many other things. And he did turn around and get his degree from University of Houston later on, but it never took away of how smart Lil Wayne is and was, like a brilliant young person then, and such a scholarly academic now, and just being who he wants to be. It always comes to
Yeah.
pass. And I tell my students a lot where, some students, they come to college and it's like, oh, so what's your major? And they're like, oh, I'm undecided. And all that means is that you can do so many different things that the world is going to create a job for you.
Yeah.
That's what's happening, is that the world is preparing for your position, for whatever that is. We just continue to tap into all of those intricacies and details that makes you who you are. Because right now,
I
you
love that.
and that rings true, especially with what you're saying. It is a surprise, right, to hear that something didn't work out when you are blossoming in so many different arenas around the world now, that it's just a matter of time, and you continue on your progress and on your path and on this journey, giving God the praise as you already are. Staying, listening to the fans as we all tell you how much we adore you, and thank you for your lyricism. Thank you for your personality and all the great things that you do and that you are. Just never stop. And you tell us that, and so just giving that right back to you, to never stop, never let go, because we are cheering you on, Jai Gemini.
Thank you. I feel it. I feel it, and I appreciate it so much.
Oh yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You carry that with you as a fan here at the Hip Hop Scholar Pack podcast. Again, I want to honor your time. I want to also open the floor. Anytime, you are welcome back here at the podcast at any time. And whenever you perform in Texas, I will be front row. Trust me, with my J Gemini t-shirt, I'm gonna have it on, and I'm gonna represent, and I'm just gonna just scream and sing the song with you, because you are that artist, and the future is very bright in hip hop. So I appreciate everything that you do when it comes to the art and the stylistics of hip hop music, and just thank you for carrying that torch into the future.
Thank you. And thank you for sharing your platform with me. I appreciate it. Like, we need to amplify these spaces. Like, you're doing some real historical archive stuff, with just collecting these stories and like just telling the stories of hip hop. It doesn't go unnoticed. And so definitely keep cultivating this space because it's very important, and I'm honored to be here.
That means a lot. Don't have me crying, Jay. Girl, thank you so very much. That means so much. Like,
You're
oh my,
welcome.
like you talk, how people, Beyonce is Beyonce. It's Jay Gemini is Jay Gemini. Like, I'm so like, oh my goodness, right now. Like, those words really give me life, as your music does. And so with that, my dear Jay, I want to thank you again for joining us. This is a Hip Hop Scholar podcast. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.